On today's episode of A Couple of Things, episode 343, I talk with my friend Yimika about traveling, friendships, what it's like to be a DJ, a little teeny weeny bit about capitalism and alcohol. I'm very sure you enjoyed the conversation. Happy listening. Hi, welcome to today's episode of your favorite daily podcast, A Couple of Things, a podcast about things. Today I have a guest. I don't know how to describe the guest. So I'll allow him to do it by himself.
Okay.
Hi,
When do you never not have a guest on here?
what? I've done like 300 and something episodes, and total number
Oh,
of guest episodes is like it's not up to 50.
oh, okay.
So
All right. I think the last few times I heard the podcast, you always say, I have a guest. And I'm like, of
yeah,
course you have
but
a
the most
guest.
recent ones has been guests because now everybody wants to do before the year is over. I've been begging people since the beginning of the year, come and do podcast. They do not answer me. And everybody's rushing because the year is almost over.
Fairs. But yeah, like you said, let me introduce myself. My name is Yimika, but a lot of people call me Yimmy, which is like yummy with an I, like yummy as in Yummy. But yeah, that's just what people call me at work. Some other people who know me as a DJ call me Yimix. Um,
DJ mix.
Yeah, but my name is Yimika. Um, and any one of the three would work fine. I would answer to any one of them.
Okay. Is that all the intro?
Oh, okay. Yeah. What should I say? Like, should I say something about myself?
It's up to you. It's your intro. Anything, however, you want to introduce yourself to the listeners of the podcast.
Well, um, okay, yeah. I like to think of myself as a very interesting person. Have a lot of hobbies, and I have a lot of interests, and I'm very good at starting many different things and exploring things that I feel like would be fun. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm a DJ. I also actually have a day job where I do meetings and decks. Um, but yeah, I also like to travel. I like to see other places, see how people live their lives, experience what it's like to just be in another person's country, learn their language. I'm never too particular about the food. I just started getting into traveling and enjoying the food. I'm usually particular about the drinks, and the people that I meet there. I'm very passionate about bringing people together to have fun. I'm an extrovert, so I love to have people around me as well. Um, yeah, I guess I'll talk more about myself as the episode goes on.
Okay, cool. I have some follow up questions about some of the things you said, but let's go to the second standard question, which is what's how do you know? How do we know each other? I
How
actually
do we know
forgot.
each other? Yeah, it's very interesting actually. Like I knew of you first on Twitter, or what used to be Twitter. And I'm not even sure how. I just know you used to pop up on my explore page, I think, because we
Interesting.
have a lot of mutual friends.
The mutual friends.
A lot of people follow you. And there was a time, because like I said, I have a lot of hobbies and interests, and I was looking to do many things around my DJing. So I wanted to start doing YouTube videos. To be honest, I had already started doing YouTube videos. I was starting a podcast. I wanted to create two brands of myself. Uh,
Mhm.
so the one that is professional and likes to drive or help people develop and discover their skills and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Part of me that's fun, that likes to make cocktails and DJ and do all this cool stuff. So I wanted to create those two brands. And I do not like any administrative work or, operational execution, like, you record a video and have to edit it or have to upload it and type all this kind of stuff. So I wanted an assistant.
Yeah,
And you had
I
tweeted
relate
that
to
you
that.
so I wanted an assistant, and you had tweeted that like you were looking for assistants and you interviewed amazing people and you couldn't hire them all. So if anyone's interested in having an assistant, you can share their like details with them. And I was like, oh, this actually keys into what I need right now. So I reached out on Twitter, and you had sent me like a list of people, four people, I think. I interviewed two, hired one who is an absolute fan of you. So whenever we're talking about like my podcast and everything, because you had started doing your podcast at the time, like you were pretty much doing a lot of the things that I planned to do.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, like whenever I'm like talking to this my assistant and I'm like, hey, what do you think we should do? And then she goes, Lade Tawak does it, like I'm like, oh my god, can you just stop with the Lade Tawak? Like if you want to go and work for Lade, go and work for Lade. Like if you want to collect salary, yeah, you stop talking about Lade. Um, so it became an ongoing thing, and then I think some months after you then moved to the Netherlands, and then you're a friend to another friend of mine. I think you were supposed to end up at my house for like a New Year thingy, but you couldn't make
Yeah, it
it.
was Christmas, I
Yeah,
think.
Christmas period, like whatever. But anyways, we ended up
Yeah.
like meeting each other in person at another mutual friend's house. So that's how I know you.
Yeah, that's a very that's a very interesting story. You did the story about the assistant. I do remember, I vaguely remember the people who messaged me about the assistants, and I vaguely remember your handle being one of those people. Um, is that correct English? But anyway, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't even remember who the people that I recommended. I remember one or two people that I like sent ahead. So now I'm wondering who it is. I'm going to ask you to tell me after we finish
No
recording.
worries. I'll tell you who the person is.
But this is that's such a funny story because I probably didn't work with this person. So I wonder how they know that that's not how I've done it or how to do it.
So I think the person was following you, and when you were looking for an assistant, that's how the person even got to kind of like apply.
Ah,
And I
okay.
think she just like stood for everything that you tweeted about. Like she was like, Laddie is my president, all that kind of stuff. I mean, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but like she absolutely adored you. So I was like,
Oh,
I beg.
that's
Like,
sweet.
yeah, I feel like she would have
Okay.
preferred to work with a woman. Like to be honest, right? But
Yeah.
she was very skeptical at first when I hired her because she was like, Nigerian men and all this stuff. But she was very good to work with, to be honest.
Mm,
After she had cut
okay.
out all the laddie stuff.
Okay. Enough about me. What is the third question? What's on your mind today? Yes, that's it. What's on your mind today?
On my mind, so my mind is a very busy place. And recently I've had a lot of things going on in my mind. So first things first, I quit Twitter because it's just too much for me these days.
Mm.
I told one of my friends, and he said I've added at least 5 years to my life by doing that. um, but yeah, like I've had a very my year has been full of a lot of introspection, and now like in almost every interaction that I have or every experience that I have, I tend to think deeply about it. So one of the things on my mind is capitalism. I had a long rant today about
Interesting.
capitalism because I was randomly outside one day and I was just walking around in the streets. And then I went to Dam Square in Amsterdam, which is quite busy, especially if they're tourists. And then there was just like police cars everywhere. And they were just there doing their thing, making sure that there's peace. They weren't doing anything. They were just making sure, like, if anything comes up, they're able to respond. And it just occurred to me, like, these people can't afford to, like, faff on the job,
Hmm.
right? Like, if they faff, someone might lose their life, right?
Yeah.
Like it could be really chaotic if a policeman just shows up to work and just, doesn't do much. Same thing applies to like a doctor and whatnot. And in a capitalist world, these people aren't really paid as much as people who do meetings and decks. Like so I'm like, but why is that?
Hmm.
Like it's something that's bothering me because I don't feel like I'm made for corporate work. I mean, I'm smart enough to figure it out and do a very good job, but I don't think it's my real life.
Yeah.
But I'm scared that if I don't do corporate, I'm going to be poor. So um that's one of the things on my mind. Capitalism. I've also thought about friendships. It's a huge pillar in my life, and the concept of friendships has been challenged in my mind over the last few years. But I'm still a very strong believer in people. I don't really care about much else on the planet aside people.
Hmm.
I think like things are always going to happen. There's always going to be technology. There's always going to be like some new thing. But the only
Yeah.
thing, in my opinion, that makes life interesting is the people around you
People.
and
Hmm.
social interactions. I'm an extrovert as well, so maybe maybe that's why I sound like this.
I
But
agree with you 100%, to be
um,
honest.
but yeah, and then just recently before we started recording this, I was like, okay, because I had gotten a hint that this runs on vibes, so I was like, what am I actually going to talk about today? And then I also remembered how I had a very long rant on one of your previous episodes
Yes.
where you said big alcohol is ruining your life, and I'm the
Yes.
biggest ambassador for alcohol. I mean, like, don't drink and drive, and drink responsibly and all that stuff. But like, I think I agreed with some parts of what you said that day, and I disagreed with some parts. So
Mm,
I just remember, like, perhaps we can talk about that. But like, I don't know if you
okay.
want to talk about
I mean, we can
like
talk
a
about it.
previous episode
It's
that you've
fine.
already done. So yeah, like those
I
are
ha-
kind of the high level things that are on my mind.
it's fine. I had a guest episode the other day where the first half of it was us talking about her favorite episodes of the podcast, so it's fine.
Okay, okay.
So okay, let's start with the alcohol one.
Mm,
Because funny enough, like just yesterday or this morning, I was looking for something on Twitter, like one of my really old tweets, and I saw almost the exact same thing from like 3 years ago.
yeah.
That big alcohol is ruining my social life. Well, not in those words, but like, why is nobody making nice non-alcoholic drinks that thinking about the flavor profile and all of those things the same way you think about with cocktails?
The very funny thing,
Mm-hmm.
it actually links a little bit to what I started talking about as well. It's capitalism, right? No, to be honest, right? I don't think there's that. I agreed with you that like alcohol has the brand around what alcohol is kind of social lubrication. Let me put it that way, right? Like there's almost no. I don't think you've ever seen an alcohol advert that doesn't have two people in it,
Yeah.
right? Like nobody wants to just be like sitting down and drinking alone and whatnot. So the whole thing around alcohol is around hanging out with friends or having a good time and all that kind of stuff, right?
Mm,
So I agree with that, right? And for people who are non-drinkers, it might be a little bit non-inclusive.
mm-hmm.
However, on the other hand, there isn't such a big market for mocktails. And all mocktails are half the time is just juice, like smoothies,
Yes,
essentially.
but
Like
it's a mix
like
of
I
juices.
yeah, exactly. But like I mean, I could put orange juice and pineapple juice into something and call it like, you know, tropical bliss. And that would probably make you happy, but like it's just orange juice and pineapple juice at the end of the day, right? So
Yeah,
like
but you could argue the same for a mimosa. It's orange juice and champagne. I can mix it together in my house. But that's not, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like when you go and then there's this craft cocktail on the menu, but then when you look at the mocktail side, it's orange juice. Like, give me craft mocktails too.
But you see, the thing as well to that, which was the final point that I had, is that alcohol in itself, or the different alcoholic drinks that I use to make these cocktails, have their own flavors in itself, and it's those flavors that they're playing around with. So now, I mean, more and more, you now have things like non-alcoholic gin and non-alcoholic. Okay, I think I've only seen non-alcoholic gin because non-alcoholic
I've seen
vodka would
non-alcoholic tequila.
yeah. I've never tasted that, and now that you've mentioned it, I'm going to look for it. But I mean, those things try to bring the flavors of
Mm,
the alcoholic drink, and perhaps with more and more of that coming up, and I think the reason why it's coming up is to help people who are alcoholics stop drinking but still get their favorite drinks. But if that becomes more and more of a thing, excuse me, just the same way like we now have fake meat. Sorry, not fake meat, like vegan meat. I don't get the concept of it, but
I
you
also
know,
don't, but
it's become more and more of a thing. The more people care about the environment, so perhaps maybe people will get there.
maybe.
Maybe people will get there. But yeah, I would encourage you to try a drink every now and then.
No, nah, it's not. My drinking is way behind me. Is Yeah, we're not going back there.
All of the 2 days that you drank for
Yeah,
in
yeah,
your past.
yeah.
Got you.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
But yeah, I get it, like from a capitalist money, profits, whatever perspective. But as a person who just wants to go out and not be giving alcohol every time, yeah, whatever. Anyway, the next thing that I wanted to ask about
Exactly.
was actually unrelated to anything we've spoken about, but you mentioned you like traveling. What is your favorite place that you've traveled to?
Ooh, my absolute favorite place in the world is Kenya.
Really?
Yes. Um, Kenya just feels like home. Every time I'm there, I feel like I'm home.
Hmm.
But I think it's beyond just like the country Kenya. It's more what I think it represents and what I think it is. So I feel like it's a very versatile country where you can get almost anything. So if you're looking for like nightlife, if you go to Nairobi, the nightlife is amazing, right? Like, and they're partying like every day from like Monday till Sunday. It's actually quite insane. So you can get that there. If you go to the coast of Kenya, it's absolutely beautiful. I don't know why there isn't more marketing around it. Like, it's blue waters,
Oh
like
yeah.
it's great vibes. It's amazing. You know, if you want to go hiking, they have the mountains there as well. If you want to, do safaris and ride a bicycle through a park for 10 kilometers while there's giraffes around you, and only like stuff you think about or stuff you
Hmm.
see in movies, you can do all of that there.
Yeah.
And to
Interesting.
top that up, they have like a very huge national carrier, so you can get direct flights to Kenya from a lot of places. So if you're also living in Kenya, you can get direct flights out of Kenya. So I feel like
Okay.
it's and I just like the vibe. Like, I like the people, they're fun. They drink a little bit too much, but their vibe, I love Kenya. But that would be my absolute favorite, I would say.
That's
um
interesting.
Mexico is another place I really like. I've been to Mexico 3 times, and every single time I've been in that country, I've had a good time. Like, I've never not had a good time in Mexico. It's also the home of tequila, which is my favorite spirit to drink. So, Mexico is just a vibe. Like,
Is the
and
vibe.
I've visited like the more touristy part, and I've gone to the city as well, and I just love it. The food is very tasty and amazing. The vibes are good. It's I love Mexico. And then the third place I'm gonna say, which is Europe, is Portugal.
Hmm.
Portugal, I like.
I'm sensing a trend.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, Portugal is just like, it's kind of a mix of what I said about Mexico and what I said about Kenya. Like, every time I'm in Portugal, I like Portugal. Also kind of reminds me of home. To be honest, it reminds me of Lagos. It kind of makes me think this is what Lagos should have been.
Mm.
I'm not like Portugal is not the most exotic place on the planet or anything, right? But like, when you're driving through Lisbon, for instance, and you're seeing the architecture, it kind of looks like Isaleko, which
Yeah, well, we know why.
yeah, right. Like, it kind of looks like that, and it has that like that vibe, and the people are happy, probably because they have a lot of sunlight. The atmosphere, like, it's cheap. Like, I can just like have a very good chill time when I'm in Portugal. So
Yeah.
those three places make up the my favorite travel destinations, I would say.
Okay, that's nice. I've never thought about Kenya in this way. I've been to Kenya once. It was nice, but I went for work, so maybe that's why I didn't really like see everything. But my mom was in Mombasa recently, and she was raving about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see
Yeah.
that.
For context, I've been to Kenya 10 times in the last 5 years, maybe.
You
Uh,
really do like Kenya.
yeah, I love Kenya. I love Kenya. I mean, to be honest, a lot of those was going there for work, but then,
Mm,
I've gone there for my own holidays like 3 times. So,
mm, yeah.
that's cool.
Oh yeah. Also, for the people that don't know why Lagos, parts of Lagos look like Portugal, something about colonialism and colonial history. But
Exactly.
that's that's not the topic of today's podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to talk about being a DJ, but I want to go through everything first so that we can end there.
Okay.
All right. So I wrote it down. Oh. Yeah. So what you were saying about capitalism earlier and jobs and everything. Do you know this concept of bullshit jobs?
Bullshit jobs. No,
Yeah.
but that
Oh my
sounds like
god.
fun.
Okay, you should look up. I can't. It's like the person I can't remember who coined it or whatever, but it's just this idea about how many of us in the quote unquote knowledge industry are all majority of us are doing bullshit jobs, basically. But
Okay. Okay.
which is like in contrast to what you were saying about like jobs that have like a tangible, meaningful like somewhat
Output.
quantifiable
Yeah.
output and impact on people's lives and things
Hmm.
like that. So there's that whole thing. I think you should look it up. Very interesting in your thread of capitalism and work. Friendship. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about friendship.
Let's talk about friendship.
So you said that the concept of friendship, you've been reflecting on it more in the past couple years. What are your reflections?
Huh. So, hmm, hmm. We're gonna go deep now. Okay, no, we're not gonna go so deep. I think that I think that the concept of friendship is one that is very, like, people recognize it as something that's important, but they also trivialize it, right?
Hmm.
Um, Especially because there's the concept of family as well, right? So,
Yeah.
and I think I've always kind of challenged that way of thinking about friendships, because I believe that family should not be a, like, what family should be is a function, not necessarily the blood that ties you guys together.
Yeah.
So if you're somebody's father and you don't act like a father, or you don't play the role of a father, then it's okay for the person not to see you as their father.
Hmm.
That's kind of how I think about it. But I feel like a lot of emphasis, and there's a lot of problems in life that are just linked to people saying, "Oh, but we're family," and
Yeah.
boundaries are not set, and all those things, or things that should be said are not said. Boundaries that should be set are not set because we're family.
Mm.
And then transferring to the friendship part of things, we're more easily able to do these kind of things with our friends, being able to say how we feel and what we think and whatnot. But I don't think a lot of people attach the strong, um oh my god, I don't know the word to use, the strong whatever, like the strong connection that they would assume, because of family. People don't really attach that to friendships.
Mm.
And I've always lived my life putting a lot of effort into my friendships. Like, if I have a friend who doesn't call me as much or doesn't talk to me that much, I would actually make an effort to call them and not take it or hold it against them
Yeah.
that they weren't calling me. Depends on the value that I see in the friendship. And I have so many friends. I think last time I counted, like, I have like 100 friends. Okay, like
Yeah.
last time I counted, almost
When
100
was the last time
friends.
you counted?
3 years ago.
Okay.
I have less friends now. It's still a lot, but I have less friends now, and like my friends are very diverse. I have friends who are like Jesus's PA. I have friends who are like, wild. I have friends who are very focused, very driven, very career. Like, you would not see them because they are chasing the bag. I have friends who just want to have fun all the time. Like, I have like so many friends, and like
Range.
sometimes I'm range, exactly, and sometimes I'm actually even scared to bring all of them together because I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen here, and I rarely do bring all my friends together. But yeah, my what I reflected on recently, and like what I've been like listening to as well. I watch a lot of YouTube, and I've just been like watching some very short clips, and also personal experiences that I've gone through with some friends where we've kind of stopped being close or no longer talk to each other anymore.
Mm.
And that can be difficult, especially if they're like, especially in my own personal experience, it was people who I've known the longest.
Mm.
And I kind of learned about the whole like day ones versus day twos, where I think your day one friends are the ones that you kind of take more as like family,
Mm.
because they've been there the longest, they've watched you grow. um they've been with you through times when you didn't even know who you are. I still don't feel like I fully know who I am, but like, like compared to myself 10 years ago, like I like, when I still had no clue, they were there during that period. So to be having a detachment from people like that can feel really, 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 really terrible.
Yeah.
But I think my reflections recently is that it's okay, right?
Mm.
Like, it I don't know that it's something that would stop hurting, but it's okay, because the risk in someone who has watched you grow and who knew you before you were whatever is that you might grow apart. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and like by growing apart, I don't even mean like, oh, like you grow towards the left, I grow towards the right. It could also just be like I grow much faster than you, in terms of the things that I think about, the things I'm focusing on. And, it's not against you. It's just that, like, you might not be able to relate to it and you might, lash out on certain things because we just don't see things the same way. Vice versa, to be honest. Like, I could grow, or I could have a friend who has grown like much quicker than I have. And then they'll be looking at me and the things I'm doing and saying, this one is not serious in life. And if I keep hanging out with this person, they will drag me down. That kind of thing. Like, so, there's all these things that happen, and it's okay. Like, I think there's a lot of value in cherishing the moments that you spent with these people and what it meant in those moments,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to let go. It's not very, very easy. But it's also not very easy to be someone's like oldest friend, because again, like, if you've been apart physically for some time, you might not know how they've developed, or things that used to be a problem that they've worked on and they're now better at, and you're now holding them to old standards. And there's all these things that come in, and it's okay, right?
Yeah.
And I know I'm rambling a bit, but
Oh, that's
um but also it's like, there's all these quotes that I see people post sometimes, like no new friends, no new this,
uh
all of that, and I actually don't quite like them.
me too.
um you know I know it's much harder the older you get to have new friends, but
Yeah.
like, it's okay. Like I, I don't know what people hope to achieve by saying no new friends. Like, maybe it makes them feel like I'm original,
No,
I'm
but like
loyal. Like, what's wrong with having new friends?
for
So,
me, for me personally, my no new friend thing is because I have too many friends and I can't keep up anymore. I feel like I'm drowning in trying to keep up with my friends. So I'm like, I don't think I want to make new friends again.
so
But
yeah,
unfortunately for me,
yeah,
the way that I'm wired, it seems impossible because I've made new friends since I said I'm not making new friends again.
that's fantastic. If you ask me, I think you need to just expand your capacity. Like, I think you need to host like
I'm
weekly
I'm just a
weekly
girl.
meetups.
I'm just a girl.
Now, like, when I there was a time I went back home and I was very worried about the fact that, okay, like, I'm now in Nigeria after, I don't know, 2 years, and like I have a bunch of friends who would want to see me. And like I said, I never really think to mix all my friends because it's range. Like, where I know them from is different. I'm like, would this person get along with that person?
I'm
And I'm
always pro mixing
I'm
all your friends and see what happens.
yeah, like, and then I was spending so much money hanging out with everybody separately. And then one of my other friends was just like, what are you doing? Just do a party and tell everybody to come. Right? Like, like, and I eventually did that, and it worked out fine,
Mm.
mostly. Not all of them were able to come, but it worked out like better than I thought it was going to. So
Uh,
perhaps that's the solution to your problem. Have a party every week.
Well, I'm a student. So first of all, I don't have money to party every week. Secondly, I'm a student. I have homework.
Should I give you some advice?
Mm.
Get a bullshit job.
Okay. I love that. Okay, well, there were some things you touched on when you're talking about friendships and everything. And one thing that you said was about like, oh, people like growing apart or moving in different directions or whatever. And I find that interesting as a concept in general because when I hear this, I also often think about with like other kinds of relationships. So let's say a romantic relationship that is long term. So whether it's marriage or not married, but long term romantic relationship. And in situations like, oh, where somebody one person changes or something changes whatever in the same like in the same
Mm,
context as with a friend but now with a romantic relationship,
mm,
is it that different? Because I find that very interesting when people say that, oh, their friendships like scattered, especially when it's like very long friendships, like you were saying, the day one friendships, because something changed in somebody's life. And I wonder that if this was a romantic relationship, and while I think some people wouldn't place friendships and romantic relationships on the same level, I do consider that there are some friendships that can't be placed on the same level, technically,
um,
kind of, almost. I don't
yeah,
know.
Yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from. And while you were saying that, I had a thought, right? And I think, you know, I did talk about family and how people assume that the whole, bond of blood is strong and you can
Yeah.
do certain things. And with friendships, that doesn't really apply. I think with romantic relationships, what I have seen has happened over time, or my hunch or my hypothesis is it's the commitment thing.
Mm.
It's the fact that I stood up in front of a bunch of people and I vowed to stay with you for a long time. It doesn't mean that you're not. It doesn't mean that you're going to stay, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's what makes the difference
I
is that
see.
you vowed like, oh, it is you and I forever. And there's a lot of people that like, maybe are frustrated, are tired in their marriages, a whole other kind of worms
Yeah.
relating to the older generation in the country we're from, where people just stick, like, we're married, so the stakes are higher when you're married. But like the stakes are just that you made a vow, right? Like that's literally, and yes, okay, you built a life together and it feels like hard to maybe detach. It's getting easier and easier over time because I think that some marriages should end. A different topic entirely.
Mm.
um and yeah, I think that's what you maybe don't have in friendships,
Yeah,
where
makes sense.
with a friendship it just grows organically, and I think that's what even makes it even special. Like it just grows organically. You're just loosey goosey, let's hang out, let's chill, let's do this. Before you know it, there's one critical moment where somebody has to be there for another person, and it just
Yeah.
grows, and there's no real upfront like, oh, you're my blood, or let's make a blood covenant, or something like that. There's
Yeah,
none of that,
yeah, blood
right?
covenants.
So yeah, I do think that these things happen in relationships, but I think
Yeah.
that when someone makes a commitment to another person to being with the person, I think what they're really committing to, I think it's kind of like being a Christian, right? So you're committing to what you also don't know. You're
Mm.
committing to, yeah, like, I know there's some things about you that I'm not sure of, or there are some things about you I might not like, but I would be with you regardless. You
Yeah.
know, I know that not a lot of people get that concept, right, and not a lot of people feel it that deeply. But I think that's what it is. But if there should also be limits and boundaries on that, in my opinion. Um, so not to go into like all of that, I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it
I
is.
do
I
see that.
think I think that people do grow apart in relationships and whatnot, and to be honest, to even keep a relationship sustained for a very long period of time requires a lot of effort,
Yeah.
because I think that the whole concept of living with another human being is so wild, right? No, I'm not even joking. Like, it's like, of course, there are some times when there's like a benefit to it and whatnot, but like, whether it's your father, your mother, your brother, sister, best friend, whoever it is, if you have to live with another human being for a prolonged period of time, they are going to drive you crazy.
Mm.
Like, it's just because you drive yourself crazy sometimes, but the
Yeah.
thing is, it's just you, right? And you only have to deal with yourself. Well, like sometimes somebody, like, just the presence of another human being can just like make you go mad. So I think
Yeah.
that in itself is a difficult thing to get through.
Mm.
So without that effort to keep it going, keep it fresh, and I think that more friends should, or friendships should be seen, maybe not necessarily as a
At the
romantic
same level, yeah,
relationship,
but
because you have to share a lot of affection with a lot of people.
yeah.
But you know I see a lot of friendships break because of ego,
Mm.
because this person didn't say this to me. Who the hell do they think they are?
Mm.
Me too, I can be mad. Me too, I can do this. And these are things that people say, right? And it's
Yeah.
like if you just squash your ego and actually just have a conversation about it, it might be something very small that you guys can just talk over. But that's how kind of things build up. It's like, this person did this, I don't fully talk about it, and there's no reason to talk about it, and then I do this and the person reacts another way to what I did, and then I react another way, and then it becomes this big thing that nobody even kind of
Knows where
knows
it
the
started
source. So I think that there should be special moments of making commitments within friendships. So I think that friendships should have more practices that allow them to last longer. It doesn't mean that they will, but there's something one of my
Yeah.
friends practices, like at the end of every year. she would send like a email with 4 questions to all her friends. She calls it a tissue box or something. And they have to answer these 4 questions. And it's about like, tell me about, how I've been this year, what things I did this year that you feel like were strong or were good, things I could do, kind of like a performance review.
Yeah, both
But
friends.
yeah, like, and I when the person first told me about this, it was a little bit, it sounded silly to me at first, but I'm like, but why not, actually? Like, that's
Yeah,
how you
why
can
not?
be, like, because it could also help you reflect on this friend that you have and be like, this person has been very, very instrumental in my life,
Mm.
like, even if it's not for the whole, like, I don't like writing, so I would encourage
You
any of
send
my
voice
friends listening
notes.
to this to not
Send a
send
voice
me
note.
send
Don't
a
write.
voice note. Okay, fantastic, right? Or I'd rather just meet up for brunch or drinks or whatever, and then have the conversation in person. But I think like friendships should have more practices like this. I think it will be beneficial.
I agree. I think that this is one of the things that I've noticed about, like, even because I've also been thinking about friendships a lot in the past 2 years, especially since moving here to 3 years. And one thing that I realized is that there's a lot of intentionality that people put into other kinds of relationships that they don't put into friendships.
Like 1,000%.
So, and if you don't put that intentionality, it's just going to fizzle out.
Yep.
One of my friends was telling me about how, like, oh, that they hadn't really like been talking, like calling much and everything in the past year, and I'm one of the few people who kept calling them, and I'm like, okay, that's very interesting because I didn't even think about this. I didn't even know that you hadn't been called, because I've been talking to this person so much that it didn't register that they hadn't been calling so much. And they were like, oh, because things were happening with them. And it's because I have this practice of my friends, like their friends, depending, I have, you know what you're saying about day one and day two, I have unofficial tiers of friendship where it's like
Yep.
this person is, there's a tier one and there's a tier two and there's a tier three.
It's
And so for
not
my
that
tier
is that
one
is
friends,
it's not unofficial. Let's be honest. It's not unofficial. It's
well,
probably official.
it's not like there's a list somewhere where I'm consulting every day, but like mentally, I have,
Yeah.
there are people that are like this. These people are my, these people are basically my siblings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I get what you
They
mean.
have children. Their children are my nephews and my niece. I was telling somebody the other day that, oh, I'm having a nephew soon. And they were like, oh, is your sister or your brother having a child? I was like, no, it's my friend. What are you talking about?
But you see, so like I like that you've also said that. I'm sorry, I totally cut you off in the middle, but is that not something that actually refers more to day ones? Like, I'm actually curious. Do you have people who you met later in life who you have this kind of close
Yes.
relationship with?
The person I'm talking to, I met here in the Netherlands.
Oh, that's interesting.
So yes, I was going to come to that when you said that it's
Okay,
people who have known you like really long, and
yeah,
I don't know, because many of the people that I consider to be basically family to me, who are my friends, are people I met in uni or after uni. I barely have any friends from before uni that I have this depth of
I'm.
relationship with.
I mean, day one uni. Like, when I say day ones, I'm actually counting uni as well, because that's
Okay,
when
fair.
everybody's broke and like, well,
But
not
even,
everybody. Some people were not broke in uni, but you get what I mean.
yeah, but even post university, there are people here who, but to be fair, some of those people we were tangentially in each other's circles. So it's not like we just
Right.
freshly, totally 100% just met each other here.
Okay,
Many
there
of
was
them were people
context. Yeah.
that we kind of knew each other. We may not have even spoken to each other ever before, but we just knew each other from, maybe we knew each other's handles, things like that. But we didn't really have any kind of relationship until we moved here.
Hmm.
So there are people like that for me, that the relationships were formed here. And it was a matter of intentionally building those friendships. And
Yeah.
that thing you said about like having somebody shows up for somebody in some way, because many of those friendships, the defining moment was something happened and
Hmm.
somebody showed up,
One thousand
or
percent.
somebody was asked to show up and they did. So it's like, yeah, I forgot what I was saying and how we got
Actually,
there.
actually, spot on what you just said. Sorry, like, it was me that totally derailed your your train of thought, but spot on what you said, because all the friendships that for me have gotten stronger over the last 2 years were friendships that were formed based on, we were there, we were chill, we're, kind of sort of guys, and then something happens and then they just kind of show up in a way that you do not expect,
Yeah.
and vice versa, right? Like, the ones that I would no longer really consider friends are people who, something happened and the reaction to it was just oh, like nuclear, right? And you're like, well, are we really friends?
Are we
Like,
really friends?
like, so usually it's that there's usually a defining moment, like you
There
said.
is, yeah.
But where I cut you short was when you were talking about your tier one, tier two, tier three.
Oh yeah, so I was like, I have a system for my friends where it's like there's a, and I'm not like 100% faithful to it, but like it's almost impossible for me to not talk to any of my tier one friends in a quarter. Like actually, even though we're all in different countries, well, not all. Some people are
A
here in
quarter
the
is
Netherlands.
a quarter is a
Yeah, but
long
I
time,
mean,
child.
like, not like just texting "How are you?" once,
Okay,
once, like
like
actually checking in, like at least once a quarter, because everybody's busy. People are having children. People are doing things. Like everybody's busier than we were when all of these relationships formed. And we're all in different countries. There's time difference. There's things. So, like, we're not talking as. And I'm a terrible texter, so
yeah,
that's why I do the once in a quarter thing. At least we have a long conversation, 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever, and we catch up. But there's systems of intentionality that people don't put into. I feel like if people put the amount of effort they put in, maybe not the exact same because romantic life partner, whatever, it can be different, whatever, but
yep,
some level of that effort into your relationship with your friends. The
yeah,
same way you plan dates nights, weekly, monthly, whatever, do
yeah,
something with your friends at such a regular cadence.
1000%.
Like it's simple things like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about this topic, so I'm going to stop. But
No,
what I
yeah,
want,
we can. To be honest, this is a topic I can talk about as well for days. So
what I wanted to
feel free.
ask actually about the friendship things, what do you consider to be a friend, or when do you consider someone to be your friend? Because sorry, before you
Fantastic
answer, I
question.
want to say why I'm asking the question because
Yeah,
when I've had life events, right, and I'm making my list of friends I want to invite and people I want to invite, and everybody's like, Lady, how do you know this? These people can't all be your friends. And like, but I actually genuinely consider these people to be my friends. And they are my friends to different levels and varying degrees. Like, for example, my birthday, which you were at,
yes,
somebody was asking me that, do I actually know all of these people? As far these people are all my friends. And I said, I
yeah,
actually consider all these people to be my friends. There are
hmm
people that I have a different level of closeness with, and there are people that I have different levels of like the way that our relationship is. But I genuinely consider all these people here to be my friends.
Before I answer the question, something about your birthday made me upset.
Uh,
I don't think I've shared it with you, but this will be a very good platform to share it.
okay.
So we were, like it was a very good congregation of, very cool people. Just like you said, like I didn't actually know everybody there was your friend. I thought some other people were like just there randomly. Um, but then I was in a conversation with a couple of people. I'm not going to mention names, but I was in a
Okay.
conversation with a couple of people, and then someone who is very, very close to you, like
Hmm.
very, 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 very close to you, um, pointed out that I'm older than most people
Oh.
there. And I'm like, that can't be true. And I looked
Oh my
around and
god.
I was
Do
the
you know?
oldest person there. It's the first time it has happened ever in my life that I
Well,
am the oldest person in a gathering. And it's made me upset.
well. I'm so sorry
Just
about
saying.
that. Do you know? I thought you actually said like my mind was already like, oh my god, what happened on my birthday?
Something some, something I should have said in my intro. I'm a dramatic person. So I did it on purpose for dramatic effect.
I was always
But
like, oh my god, what happened?
do not take this lightly. You need to make older friends.
Yes, I
Just saying.
do. I actually, I so this is also something I'm struggling with here because when I was in Nigeria, like I have a group of friends where at my big age, I am the baby of the group, and like the baby in the sense that the oldest person has a significant amount of years on me, baby. But now I don't have that. Like I've been trying to like, where do I find older friends now? Ugh.
Oh, let's see how that goes. But that aside, I'm one thing I'm realizing from this podcast is there's quite a few things that you and I kind of have like similar ways of thinking about it. So I don't really understand genuinely. I don't understand the concept of acquaintances. I do, but I don't think I like when I think about most people around me, it's hard for me to say that person is an acquaintance.
Mm-hmm.
Like usually when I call someone an acquaintance, it's someone who used to be a friend and then we had a very, very big fight and we're now cordial. Then they would be
You're
an acquaintance. That's how I use acquaintance, right? But like if I've had more than a 3 hour conversation with you, uh, it will be difficult not to refer to you as my friend. Like for me.
honestly.
So to me, my barrier for entry for friendship is very low. I have to say it's quite low. Because for me, like when I meet a person, like I'm very intrigued about like, what they're like, who they are, whether they drink or not, what kind of music do they listen to. I just want to know, like, like, have they had some interesting, weird
Yimika,
experience
so
that I've
sorry
never
to
heard of?
interrupt you, but let me tell you something funny that happened. The week of my birthday, or the 2 weeks to my birthday, I went to my swimming class and then I met these two girls and we were just gisting and gisting and gisting. I was this close to inviting them to my birthday. This, like, it remains small. I have a problem. This is why I said, even though I said I don't want to make new friends, here I go, making new
Yeah.
friends.
Now, like, it's also a thing. It's also a little bit of a struggle for me because sometimes it's like, I just meet someone and like the conversation is just interesting, and I'm like, this person is already my friend. We should hang out. We should like, and it happens for me like so easily. Like, I think the latest person I would say is my friend, and I can't really say this person is my friend because I don't have the person's number. Like, it's a colleague, but I can't not say the person is my friend. So like I
Exactly.
when so coffee has no effect on me. Like if I'm sleepy and I drink coffee, I can still sleep,
No,
essentially.
coffee actually makes me sleep.
Uh, maybe that's even the case for me. But like I was going, I have very terrible sleeping habits, so I'm up till like weird hours in the night, which helps me connect with my friends in Canada and the US. By the way, just saying, just to not exclude them. Um, so I had this like long meeting I had to be a part of, and I was really sleepy, so I was like, coffee is not going to work. And I was like, I just went to ChatGPT and I was like, what can I try? And ChatGPT was like, oh, try matcha tea, blah blah blah. So I went to the tea bar at my office. It's a fancy office, and
A very, very
I,
fancy office.
yeah, and then
Which
I
you
asked,
haven't invited me to, by the way.
you have a lot of friends in my office,
No,
actually.
everybody has to invite me one by one.
No wahala. After this podcast, we're making it happen.
Okay.
So I went and got a double matcha, whatever, and I was like, okay, this isn't so bad. I don't even know if it kept me awake, Sha, but it was just fascinating to drink the tea. And before I knew it, I started saying, "No, I'm a tea person," and then this person was just like having tea, and she sits around like my seat area, and I was like, "Oh, I'm getting into tea now." And then we had this whole like 30-minute conversation about tea, and then next thing she brought me tea, like to try out. And then every other week we have tea in the office and we just
Oh,
talk
that's
over
cute.
tea. Like, and like I know a little bit about her. She's learning Dutch. Like, I know quite a lot about her, but I don't have a phone number. And to me, she's my friend, right? Like, because there was a time I didn't see her in the office and I texted and I was like, yo, where are you? Like, what's going on? So all of that to say that my barrier for entry for friendship is very low.
Do you
But
know what? I
I
feel
try to
vindicated in life.
Yes, I try to love all my friends as well. Like, I mean, the struggle with it is being able to split your attention,
That's
right?
what I started with because
Which,
I can't keep up.
yeah, but which is why I think I'm also okay with having a friend that I drink tea with at the office and let it be there. Because once you take that outside the office now, that's extra maintenance, right? So what I'm learning to do now is kind of keep friendships like in terms of the affection
In the
and
tears.
yeah, no, it's not even just tears, but like make them domain based, if you know what I mean,
Interesting.
right? Like so I have some friends that I only hang out with in the office, right? I
Mm.
hardly hang out with them outside the office. Thankfully they also have other friends and they have other lives, but like we only connect on these three things.
Yeah.
So let's not be quick to expand on everything. Let's keep it at these three things for now, and keep building and keep building until I'm rich enough to be able to do a party every week so that all my friends can be there. So yeah.
No, I honestly, like, because this is a thing I struggle with, and for as long as I can remember, because I've been on to Twitter, now known as X, for a very long time. And I remember I will be telling my mom that, oh, my friend, something, something, something. Which of your friends is that one? Oh, my friend from Twitter. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, but they're my friend. I'm like, this person.
I know, right? It's
And then I was like, oh, I was like, oh, my friend said, I was like, which friend is this one again? It's just, oh, the friend that I met, but this person is my friend, but they're my friend. I consider them to be my friend.
it's very funny because to some of my friends, when I'm trying to describe new friends that I've made, I usually don't tell them names because I'm like, you're not going to remember the name. I'm just going to tell you something about this person. So when I'm referring to the person again, I would maybe say, like in the example of this, my tea friend, I'll just say my
My
friend
tea
that I
friend.
have tea with, like so that you can just connect, like, okay, it's that friend with tea. I don't need to know the person's name, So yeah, these things happen.
But yeah, okay. The I could go on, but I want to ask about the DJ thing. And we're already
Yes.
15 minutes in, so let's finish
Can I
with
can I
DJ.
ask a question?
Yeah,
Is this thing recording? Because if it's not recording,
it is. It is recorded. I
okay,
checked. I've
okay,
checked like
all right.
5 times.
Because going into the DJ topic, that's how one day I done one mad mix, like 30 minutes mix. I was sweating. It was dope. And then I stopped it and I looked at the camera and I was not recording. Or I looked at the thingy, the DJ thingy to record it. It was not recording. It was only the
Oh
camera
my
that was recording. I wanted, I like, yeah.
god! Oh my god! That kind of situation. I just clean my laptop and go and sleep. That's my solution. Because I've done that. Like I baked something and the cake split into two, so I closed the cake pan back and went to sleep.
Yikes.
Sometimes I do this. But anyways,
Yeah, it be like
DJ,
that sometimes. Yes.
how did you become a DJ?
Fantastic. So, um, I wonder if I should say the controversial thing.
No, don't say the controversial thing. We're a family friendly podcast.
No, no, no. Like controversial is not like I'm a DJ, but I do not like music as much as people think I do.
That's very interesting. Because
Um,
you're a really great DJ, by the way. I
thank
don't
you
know if you
very
said that.
much. Oh, that makes I'm blushing right now. Um, um, actually, so I became a DJ because um I said something in the beginning of this podcast that I like bringing people together to have fun. And to be honest, like I started this podcast by mentioning like two things that people kind of associate with me, which is playing music and having drinks. And the main reason why those two things are very prominent is because those are like the biggest social thingies, right? Like if you want to really bring people together, put music and put alcohol and you would have people. It doesn't mean that everybody is an alcohol drinker or anything, but one person will shall fit in one of the two. Like there's going to be music and there's going to be this. So I started DJing in 2008, and it wasn't necessarily because of a passion for music or whatever. I mean, I was curious about it, like all these knobs here and people kind of clicking it, and I do like music. It's not like I don't like music, right? But I'm not a music geek. Let me put it
Yeah.
that way. Um, and then I joined this entertainment group then. It was called The Friends. Don't know who came up with that name. But it was a university thing. And we had a Valentine's Day show that we wanted to deliver on campus in front of the hostel. And it required money. And, students are broke. We tried to raise money. We were only able to get a little bit. And it was like, who's going to DJ now? Like, how are we going to get a DJ? And I had the DJ software thingy on my laptop. I was a young person who was curious about a lot of things. So I had a lot of softwares, some I never used. I even had music production software, but I never used it because I was curious about music production at some point. And I was like, oh, I have this DJ thing and I play with it sometimes. And people were like, you know what? Do it. So I got my laptop and put a bunch of songs there. I knew how to do like two things on it. And I just kept playing music and I did those two things. And before I knew it, people started calling me DJ Yimix. And like, no, so and that came
So
because like a
sorry,
lot
do
of
you know that I used to pronounce it as DJ Y Mix?
a lot of people call it Y Mix. A lot of there's actually no real like I didn't choose the name for myself. The name chose me. Like that's what people just started calling me. Like
Okay.
I wish I had a say in it, but yeah, because I think back in the day I used to like try and do all those. I want to call myself Hot Jams or Cold Tone, all that kind of stuff. But we just started calling me Gimmicks and it's stuck. So yeah, like it also happened that way because I knew a lot of people. Like I was very social when I got into school. Like getting into university was like my first time being exposed to a lot of people, and I was like, I had a lot of friends. So when I climbed up to DJ, people were like, Yimika DJs. And I was just playing music. I'm even sure I was bad. But people were just like, you know what? Yimika is a DJ now. And before I knew it, people started like associating DJing with me. In fact, the very first time I touched DJ equipment was 10 years after that. I always just used my laptop to DJ. So I became popular in school a little bit for it for like 3 years. And then I started being scared because I started getting a little bit popular, and I was scared that people were going to clock that I wasn't that good. At least that's how I felt. I had imposter
Mm.
syndrome. So I just stopped. And then it was when I joined my company again. And, when you meet people, they're like, say something interesting about yourself. And I'm like, okay, I'm a DJ. And then they're like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And then there was a company party here in Amsterdam. And they're like, oh, you should totally DJ. And then I was like, okay. And I registered for it, and they asked me to DJ. And
Nice.
that's how I kind of started it again in 2018. And now it's just one of those things that I do that's fun. It brings people together. People have fun. I'm not necessarily trying to win the best DJ competition in the world, but as long as I can bring people together and they can have a good time listening to the music I play, I'm happy.
That, like, I really like stories like this, where it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, when I was a child I wanted to, create shareholder value, and so now it's just like, oh, I just stumbled upon this thing that I found interesting and I started doing it and it became
I
a
mean,
thing.
I totally stumbled on it. I totally stumbled on it, but it's fun. It's fun.
I love those kind of stories. But what do you like? What is it like to be a DJ? So you're going to do a DJ. I don't know, what do you guys call it, sets, when you go
Yeah.
and do your DJ thing. How do you prepare? What happens? What goes into that? How do you know what to do?
Okay. After saying everything that I said, to be honest, right, I still have certain DJ dreams. So recently, for instance, I saw Martin Garrix play at the Johan Cruyff Arena, and I was like, I want that to be me
I don't know who
one
that is.
day.
Sorry. Can you
Yeah, is a
highlight
popular
for
Dutch
us?
DJ. Like,
Okay.
it's not important. I'm just saying that I still have DJ dreams. It's not
Okay.
like I'm like I don't want to. I'm not necessarily looking to get award, but I want to be in a place with thousands of people and playing music. Now, when I do have a DJ set, first thing that happens is I get nervous. I get really nervous. I'm like, oh my god, is this going to go well? Are people going to have fun? Um, if I make a mistake up there and somebody sees the mistake, what's going to happen? And I just get nervous. Like, essentially that happens. But what I like to do is I like to kind of, or what has helped me more these days is I go on the decks myself in my house, and I just start playing as if I'm playing for myself. And I
Mm.
just start playing, and I'm trying to kind of create the atmosphere for myself that I'm trying to transmit. And if it feels right, I'm like, you know what, I'm ready for this. Um and yeah, like, what I'm trying to say with that is, like, I imagine this is how it is for most artists. um the nervousness is never not there. No matter how much I know that, like, people appreciate me as a DJ, and people know that I now have accepted that I am quite good, and I know what I'm good at. And as much as I know that, it doesn't mean that I don't get nervous, like, oh, what if I do bad this time? And sometimes I do have bad performances, but you just kind of learn to roll with it and move on with it. So yeah, like, I just get nervous, but I kind of hype myself up. um the last time I played, I went into the bathroom to pee just before the DJ set, and I was like, Yimika, you can do this. You've always done this. You can do this. It sounds very dramatic, but like I said, I'm dramatic. I was like, you can do this. Just enjoy yourself. And then I go out there, and then what I try to do is I try to focus on at least one person. So I'm always looking up when I'm DJing, and I try to find one person who is enjoying themselves. If
Mm.
I can find one, then the whole room doesn't exist, and I focus on that
That
one.
one
And I
person.
try to get that one person to have the best time. And that thing is infectious, so to speak. And then everybody starts to dance around them. So yeah, that's kind of like the I don't know if I actually answered your question. What was your question?
That was not the answer to my question, I don't think, but it was a good response. I liked it. But what
But
I was
what was the
asking about
question?
was like,
Yeah.
what goes into actually preparing for a set?
Oh, right. Oh,
But
that's
you were
amazing.
talking more about like the psychological part of it, which
Yes,
is
for me.
great. Yeah.
Like what goes into it, you need to know the music. Um, you need to, I mean, to be honest, there's parts of DJing that is quite easy. Like music is not, unless you're talking about like rock music, but even rock music happens in counts, right? And there's a science behind how every song is produced. And, you know, DJs who have been DJing for a long time typically know how to mix one song to another song, you
Hmm.
know, how fast a song is, how slow it is. A song can be fast but have a slow vibe. A song can be slow but have a fast vibe. So just kind of knowing the music, knowing what resonates with people, and being able to kind of deliver an experience that people can relate to. So, if I was to give you a quick crash course into what this can look like, is if you're playing for Nigerians, who are by far the hardest people to play for, but we can get into that another day. Um, if you're just starting, you don't want to go old school, even if that's what they would relate to the most. You want to kind of build them up. Don't start too fast. Build them up with like a very mellow vibe, you know, like your Aya Stars, Rush, you know, or like something from Burna Boy that's just, you know, chill. Then build them up to something that's a bit faster but recent. And then go to like that very, very, very high intense, like your Ose bars and all those very, you know, energetic songs.
Hmm.
And then you can take them old school because now they're at the point where they're like having fun. So anything you do here is just going to be good unless you like really, really mess it up. So yeah, like from there you can just go old school and then now you're playing on the nostalgia and everything. So
Yeah.
just being able to know your audience and know what they resonate with and
Hmm.
know how to kind of deliver it in a way that would not be disengaging is part of what you need to kind of prepare for. Of course, have the songs. And if you're looking to DJ out there, I hope you pay for your music. I like to pay for all my music. Um, I think there's still a few on my laptop that I didn't pay for, but I believe that creatives should be paid for whatever they did, even if it's €1 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they should be. So, you know, getting the music and preparing it, knowing what points in the music are good to mix with another point of the music, you know, trying to listen to find wordplay here and there, which is things that excite people, you know, just trying to have things in different places that you can use to spice up your crowd. But it all just comes down to knowing the music. And I always say that, like, for any job, the technical execution of it is usually the simple part. It's knowing kind of how to deliver an experience. It's the best part. And then once you know, okay, I want to go from this music to that music to that music, and I want to have this part in the music in the middle that would excite everyone. Then you know all of that, and then learning how
Yeah.
to execute it just becomes practicing with the tools, and then you just figure it out. I hope I answered the question better now.
You did answer it well the first time, but you focused on one part.
Yeah,
But yeah, that I was curious. I'm really curious because I'm very curious about things that are not like we talked about in the beginning, bullshit jobs,
yeah,
so to
yeah.
say. God. But because I find it very interesting, especially when people do things. I find people doing things with their hands to be very interesting, and in a way, I think that being a DJ is doing something with your hand, because even if you're not like creating a song, you're still creating something in a sense.
I can confirm to you that DJing requires the use of hands.
I'm aware. I meant it metaphorically. I am quite aware. But yeah, I find that very interesting, and things that go into deciding on how do you know what songs to play and in what order, and how long does a DJ set typically last?
Depends on what you want to do.
What's the longest
In
you've done?
the longest I've done is 3 hours, and it's freaking tiring.
I can imagine.
But the longest I've done is 3 hours, and it's mostly Nigerian DJs who do DJ sets that are that long. Like when I moved here, I found that like the sweet spot is 1 hour. Just do 1 hour and go. And that's what DJs here typically do. Like you would hardly go to a club and then you have one DJ play all through, which happens in
Mm.
Nigeria, by the way. Here you would have one DJ play for 1 hour, somebody takes off over another 1 hour. That person that played the first 1 hour has gone to another club to play another 1 hour. And then that's also how they get their name out there, kind of. So sweet spot, I would say, is 1 hour.
Mm.
Whenever I'm doing recorded mixes, I like to keep it 30 minutes because I think it's just long enough that people can enjoy it, but not so long that they get bored. Especially because they're not in a party, they're just listening to it and walking around and whatnot. But I would say longest anyone should be doing is 2 hours. Sweet spot is 1 hour, but if you're doing recorded sets, I would say 30 minutes works fine.
Okay. What is your favorite kind of event, DJ?
Oh, corporate events.
Really?
Yes, it is very, very low effort. Because if you work for a company and the company is doing like a party or whatever, like everybody's just there for the free alcohol and just talking around and whatnot. Like nobody's really expecting this needs to be the best party I've attended in my life, right?
Mm.
So people don't really have high expectations.
And they're not really
So
listening to the DJ like that, like that.
but at some point, like you can get to then impress them with your music. So it's like their expectations going in are a little bit low, but then you get to really, really impress. So it's low effort and it pays way more. So that's my favorite. Like they pay a lot,
Yeah.
like
I
compared
think
to
B2B is where it's at in anything that you're doing.
fact, fact only. And one of the ones I also like, but is I don't like. Well, I like to DJ for this particular type of event, but it's one of the hardest is weddings
Mm.
because one, it is two people's very special day, so you can't
Yeah.
mess it up.
I
Two,
wanted to enjoy the DJ at my wedding, so I
I,
get that.
like you don't want to mess that up. You don't want to mess up one of the best days of their lives. And two, it's like you may not know the crowd so well, you don't know where they're coming from, especially here. Like I struggle to do weddings here because you hear groom is from Belgium, bride is from Brazil. I'm like, oh my god, what am I going to do? you know and it's like you have to kind of play for the Belgians and then play for the Brazilians and then play for the Belgians and play some American music that everybody knows and then back to the Belgians and like it can be jarring. um and then people are expecting to have a great time, especially if it's a Nigerian wedding. People are expecting like, the after party is what we're waiting for.
Mm.
So expectations are high and it's very easy to disappoint. So weddings, hardest for me, corporate, easiest. So yeah, that's kind of where I would rank it.
Okay, cool. I don't think I have any other questions about being a DJ, but I'm very sure that once I stop recording, more questions come to my mind. But
I
it's okay.
mean, there's going to be more podcast episodes in the future. Fingers crossed.
We don't know about that.
We don't know about that.
No, we don't know.
Okay.
Let's first when this year ends, we'll take a break. Then we'll see what will happen after. I
I
don't know.
have to say something before the goodbye though.
Okay.
I have to say it's December 9 when we're recording this, by the way. Ooh,
Yeah.
should I be giving that away?
Oh no, that's fine.
Okay, so it's December 9 when we're
I'm probably going
recording.
to publish this today because I
And
don't have anything else for today.
and when you started this at the beginning of the year, I think I saw you just when we started the year or just before
Yeah.
the year started, and you said you wanted to record a podcast every day. And I thought you were insane.
Oh, I still think I'm insane.
Right? Like, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, but then, like, I think we had a short conversation about it, and you were like, yeah, it's less about the like, you know, putting it out there, and more about the fact that this is a goal that you're setting for yourself, and you want to do it.
Mm.
And I have to say, it's been inspiring to see you do it all through the year. Like,
Oh, thank
very, very inspiring. I have a podcast as well. This year, I've had 2 episodes. So, compared to someone who has had over 300. I am very impressed. So,
thanks. Thanks.
and yeah, like it is very, 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 very inspiring. And I just wanted to say that. And thank you for having me as well.
Yeah, thank you for coming. This was a great conversation. I'm always like something with the guest episodes is because it's not planned. There's no list of things we're going to talk about beforehand. I'm always like, I hope there's something that actually comes out of this recording that I can use.
Yeah, no,
Because
no, but
there has been like maybe one with my friend. We're just gisting. Like I could not publish it because we're just gisting. So we had to do another one.
I,
But
in my experience, actually, because my podcast is supposed to be about personal development and whatnot, and then I had an episode with 2 of my friends. Actually, it happened in the reverse. So I was on a call with 2 of my friends, and then we were just gisting, and we just ended up talking about this thing, and we had this playful way of doing it. And I was like, guys, this should be a podcast. How about we stop talking right now? We set up another call in 1 hour and we have this conversation from scratch all over again. And when I listened to it, I thought it was very stupid. But it's one of the episodes people like the most of the
Really?
9 episodes that I have had since 2020. But it's one of the ones that people like. So, sometimes you just need to do it. Unless, of course, the gist includes
No,
personal
this just was some
information.
things that we could not publish on the interweb.
Oh,
So
right. Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So
Fair,
it was just us
fair.
gisting, like, because we hadn't caught up in a while, so we were just gisting. And it's like, no, we can't actually publish this.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is great. I'm so happy because I have nothing else to publish today. So this is good up today.
Awesome. And I've genuinely had a good time because I didn't also know that I was going to talk about everything, but it also kind of connected in a very, very interesting way.
Yeah, everything connected in the end.
And it's really nice. I do hope that you continue. Maybe not every day, but I hope you continue to do your podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. I was going to say yes, I will, but no. I didn't say that. I don't know. We'll find out. Let me finish school first. We'll find out.
Well, to be honest, well, I mean, you can just reduce the frequency, and this might be another way for you to connect with your friends. See?
Do you know one of my friends messaged me that like she wanted to call me, but then she has listened to my podcast. I'm like, what do you mean? Call me.
That's the downside. She's like, oh, yeah, like, this is fine. This is what she's thinking about today. Like, it's okay. We don't need to talk.
But and I actually have an episode about that. Call me. Don't listen to my podcast. I think I'm fine. Call me. But anyway, yeah. Thank you for coming on, and thank you guys for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of A Couple of Things. If there was anything you found interesting or insightful, or you enjoyed the episode, please do share to someone or multiple people. Like, leave a comment, and definitely do subscribe and all the nice things. Bye.